What if the secret to wealth, influence, and personal fulfillment isn't locked in your bank account, but hidden in your thoughts? Think and Grow Rich is not just another book about money. It's a roadmap to unlocking the untapped power of your mind, a manual for transforming vague dreams into tangible riches. Written in 1937 during the Great Depression, Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years interviewing 500 of the most successful people of his time, including Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, and Alexander Graham Bell, to uncover a timeless formula for success. This book is arranged around 13 core principles, each representing a critical mindset or habit shared by the world's most prosperous individuals. But don't be deceived, these aren't just theories. They're actionable steps that have changed lives for generations. In this audio summary, you'll not only grasp the essence of each principle, you'll feel inspired to apply them. Whether you're chasing financial freedom, creative success, or simply a more focused life, the wisdom in this book offers a powerful push forward. So, if you're ready to learn how to think your way to success, keep listening. What follows could be the spark that changes everything. Chapter 1. Introduction. The Power of Thought. Napoleon Hill begins Think and Grow Rich with a bold declaration: thoughts are powerful things. Not in a vague, inspirational sense, but in a practical, transformative way. The wealth you seek, the goals you dream of, and the future you imagine all begin with a single, dominant idea. And when that idea is fueled by desire, backed by faith, and pursued with persistence, it becomes unstoppable. Hill shares the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had no money, no connections, and no credentials, but he had a burning desire. His goal? To become a business partner of the great inventor Thomas Edison. Not an employee. Not a technician. A partner. That desire became so intense and focused that it dominated his thoughts, and eventually his reality. He didn't achieve this dream overnight. It took time, patience, and grit. But the power of his unwavering thought, his definiteness of purpose, was what ultimately created the opportunity. This story sets the foundation for the entire book. Success begins in the mind. Hill insists that riches do not respond to wishes. Everyone wishes for wealth. Everyone hopes to succeed. But wishing is weak. It is the definite, focused, and emotionally charged thoughts that become obsessions, that produce real results. When the mind is locked onto a goal with clarity and belief, it begins to attract the people, opportunities, and circumstances necessary to achieve that goal. He also makes a critical distinction between those who merely desire riches and those who are truly ready to achieve them. Readiness, in Hill's view, means you're willing to burn the bridges behind you, to move forward without retreat. Edwin Barnes didn't just want to work with Edison, he was prepared to do whatever it took. That level of determination is what transforms an ordinary thought into a creative force. Hill emphasizes that this power is not reserved for the wealthy or highly educated. Anyone, regardless of their background, can develop this mental strength. What matters is the clarity of your goal, the intensity of your desire, and the willingness to take action in its direction. This opening chapter sets the stage for the 13 principles to follow. Each principle will unpack a different part of the formula that begins here, with thought. But not just any thought. Controlled thought. Emotional thought. Purposeful thought. Napoleon Hill challenges us to begin thinking intentionally, to take command of our mental environment, and to understand that the mind is the first battlefield of success. Your reality, he tells us, is first created in the laboratory of your imagination. And so, as this journey begins, the message is clear: your mind is the starting point of all riches. Not luck. Not inheritance. Not chance. Just thought, when it's fully owned, passionately believed in, and relentlessly acted upon. Chapter 2. Desire, the starting point of all achievement. It always begins with a spark. Not luck. Not resources. Just a burning desire that refuses to fade. This chapter centers on one fundamental idea: strong desire is the foundation of all achievement. Not a casual wish or vague preference, but a deep, consuming want, an emotional force that drives consistent action. Desire is not passive. It's active, persistent, and transformative. When a person truly wants something, not just dreams about it, but internalizes it with clarity and commitment, that desire shapes their decisions, thoughts, and energy. It gives direction and purpose. This principle is illustrated by a story of a young man who wanted to become the partner of a successful inventor. He had no money, no connections, and no assurance of success. But his desire was so firm that it pushed him to take the first step, even when the path ahead was uncertain. Over time, that desire opened doors and created opportunities that didn't exist before. The lesson here is that definiteness of purpose, knowing exactly what one wants, is essential. Vague hopes lead to vague results. But when a goal is clearly defined and backed by emotional intensity, it becomes a powerful force. The chapter outlines a 6-step method for transforming desire into reality. 1. Fix a clear amount of what you want, especially in financial terms. 2. Determine what you will give in return. Nothing comes without a price. 3. Set a definite date for achieving your goal. 4. Create a specific plan and begin at once, even if not fully ready. 5. Write a clear, concise statement of your goal, deadline, and plan. 6. Read your statement aloud twice daily, once in the morning and once at night, while visualizing and believing in the outcome. These steps are simple, but their power lies in repetition and faith. By reinforcing desire through daily reading and visualization, the mind becomes conditioned to focus and act in alignment with that goal. The subconscious, over time, absorbs the belief and begins to work in subtle but consistent ways to bring the desire into form. Importantly, the chapter doesn't promise instant success. Desire must be persistent. Setbacks are inevitable, but a strong desire is not discouraged by delay. It adapts, adjusts, and keeps moving forward. Desire alone is not enough, but it is the starting point. Without it, no plan, no effort, no strategy can succeed. With it, even limited resources and humble beginnings can be overcome. This chapter is a call to identify what truly matters. To stop wishing and start wanting, with intensity, purpose, and a plan. Once the mind is fixed firmly on a goal, and desire burns strong enough, the next steps, faith, action, and persistence, begin to fall into place. Chapter 3: Faith, Visualization of and Belief in the Attainment of Desire. Belief is more than just a feeling, it is the bridge between thought and reality. This chapter explores faith as a psychological state that strengthens the power of desire. Faith acts as the emotional fuel that transforms a goal from mere imagination into lived experience. It is not blind optimism, but a confident expectation, built by repeated thought, emotional conviction, and mental discipline. The human mind works in harmony with belief. When an individual believes in a goal, even without knowing exactly how to achieve it, their behavior naturally aligns with that belief. Actions become more purposeful, confidence grows, and obstacles are approached as temporary rather than permanent. On the other hand, doubt weakens resolve, creates hesitation, and often leads to failure before a real attempt has even been made. Faith is not something one must be born with, it can be developed. Repetition of affirming thoughts, especially when connected to a strong desire, begins to influence the subconscious mind. Over time, the mind accepts those ideas as reality. This is where autosuggestion, a method explored more deeply in the next chapter, becomes essential. When affirmations are spoken regularly with emotion, the subconscious absorbs them. A person begins to not only say what they want, but also feel and believe it is possible. This belief gradually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The mind starts to recognize opportunities that were once invisible, and fear begins to fade. Faith, then, is a mental state that attracts results. When combined with a definite purpose, faith encourages resilience in the face of setbacks. It prevents discouragement from turning into defeat. It gives strength when progress is slow and helps maintain vision during times of doubt. The chapter also notes that belief, whether positive or negative, has creative power. If one constantly fears failure, focuses on problems, or anticipates loss, the mind will act accordingly. Negative faith, though less obvious, is equally powerful and just as real. That is why it is essential to train the mind to dwell on possibilities, not limitations. The key message is this: the subconscious mind responds to the emotionalized repetition of thoughts. This means it's not enough to say, "I will be successful." One must feel it, see it, and believe it while saying it. And through that process, a belief system is built that supports action and attracts circumstances aligned with the goal. Faith is not magic. It doesn't guarantee success without work. But it is the psychological environment in which effort thrives. It provides mental clarity, emotional energy, and the inner conviction that one's efforts are not in vain. In the journey of achievement, faith stands as a foundation, quiet, invisible, yet profoundly influential. Those who succeed believe in their ability to do so, even before the evidence appears. And that belief, rooted in desire and sustained by action, is what sets them apart. Chapter 4. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. The mind is always listening, even when no one is speaking. This chapter introduces autosuggestion as the direct pathway between conscious thought and the subconscious mind. Autosuggestion refers to the practice of feeding the mind with repeated affirmations, ideas, and mental images until those thoughts begin to influence behavior, emotions, and decision-making at a deep, unconscious level. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between true and false, real and imagined. It accepts whatever is repeatedly presented to it, especially when delivered with emotion and conviction. For this reason, conscious repetition of positive, goal-oriented thoughts becomes a powerful tool for shaping belief and guiding behavior. The process begins with clarity. A person must first define exactly what they want, whether it's a financial goal, a personal achievement, or a character trait, and then create a clear, written statement that includes the desired outcome, the deadline, and what will be given in return. This statement is then read aloud, ideally twice a day, once in the morning, and again at night. But merely reading the words isn't enough. The key to effective autosuggestion is emotion. The mind responds most powerfully when a message is felt, not just spoken. When the affirmation is read with feeling, passion, belief, gratitude, it begins to penetrate the subconscious more deeply and effectively. Over time, this emotional repetition turns ordinary thoughts into dominant mental patterns. Autosuggestion serves two vital purposes. First, it builds belief. When a goal is repeated often enough, the subconscious begins to accept it as achievable, even inevitable. Second, it guides action. Subtle shifts in mindset and behavior begin to occur. A person becomes more alert to opportunities, more confident in decisions, and more motivated to act in line with their stated purpose. The chapter also warns that autosuggestion works both ways. Negative thoughts, fears, and doubts, if repeated often enough, can also take root and shape outcomes. That's why careful control of one's internal dialogue is critical. The mind must be directed, not left to wander. Guarding against negative autosuggestion is just as important as practicing the positive form. Through daily use of autosuggestion, a person begins to reprogram the mind, quietly, steadily, and powerfully. It is not a quick fix, but a long-term conditioning process. Like planting seeds in a garden, results may not appear immediately, but they grow with consistency and care. In essence, autosuggestion is a personal conversation with the subconscious. It is a method of aligning thought with desire, belief with action. Used effectively, it strengthens focus, eliminates self-doubt, and sets the mind in motion toward achieving one's goals. The message is simple: you become what you repeatedly tell yourself. By choosing your inner language wisely and reinforcing it daily, you begin to transform thought into habit, and habit into achievement. Chapter 5. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations. Knowledge is not power, at least, not on its own. The power comes from how that knowledge is used. This chapter makes a clear distinction between two types of knowledge: general knowledge and specialized knowledge. General knowledge consists of broad information, what's taught in schools, found in textbooks, or accessed through casual reading. While it has value, general knowledge alone rarely leads to financial success or practical achievement. Specialized knowledge, on the other hand, is focused, practical, and directed toward a specific purpose. It is this kind of knowledge that creates value in the real world. Specialized knowledge doesn't have to come from a formal education. In fact, many successful people acquire it through experience, self-study, collaboration, or mentorship. What matters is not the source, but the application. The person who gains a deep understanding of a specific field, be it engineering, marketing, music, or farming, and uses that understanding to solve problems or offer services has the ability to create wealth. Importantly, one does not need to personally possess all the necessary knowledge to succeed. It is just as effective to organize and direct the knowledge of others. Great leaders, inventors, and business owners often surround themselves with people who hold specialized knowledge in different areas. Their strength lies in coordinating those talents and turning them into results. This principle emphasizes the value of lifelong learning. Specialized knowledge must be constantly improved, updated, and adapted to meet changing conditions. In a fast-moving world, what was valuable yesterday may be obsolete tomorrow. Therefore, ongoing personal development, whether through books, courses, practice, or direct experience, is essential. The chapter also highlights the need to take action. Knowledge that is not applied remains dormant. It might fill notebooks or memories, but it doesn't produce results. Power only arises when knowledge is organized into a definite plan of action and directed toward a clear purpose. That's when knowledge becomes productive, profitable, and transformational. Another key point is the importance of knowing what you want to do with your knowledge. Without a clear aim, specialized knowledge has no direction. But when paired with desire and backed by faith, it becomes a tool for building value, creating opportunity, and achieving goals. In summary, this chapter invites reflection on one's strengths and learning path. What do you know that others find valuable? What can you do that solves a problem or fills a need? And more importantly, how are you using that knowledge to move closer to your purpose? Success is not about knowing everything. It's about knowing enough of the right thing, and putting that knowledge to work. Whether through your own expertise or through the collaboration of skilled people, specialized knowledge becomes a stepping stone toward practical achievement. Chapter 6. Imagination, the workshop of the mind. Every great achievement begins as an idea. A business empire, a groundbreaking invention, a best-selling book, or a personal goal, all are first shaped in the realm of imagination before becoming visible in the world. This chapter presents imagination as the workshop of the mind, where desires take form, ideas are born, and plans begin to take shape. Imagination is the tool that transforms thought into reality. It is not limited to artists or inventors. Every person uses imagination, consciously or unconsciously, to visualize outcomes, solve problems, and create meaning from their experiences. The difference lies in how intentionally it is used. There are two primary types of imagination described here. 1. Synthetic imagination. This involves rearranging existing ideas, concepts, or experiences into new combinations. It is the most commonly used form of imagination in business and everyday life. For example, creating a new product by combining existing technologies, or starting a new business model based on observed trends. It doesn't create something entirely new, but it refines and adapts what is already known. 2. Creative imagination. This is the source of original ideas, flashes of insight, and intuitive solutions. It often operates without conscious effort, and can deliver breakthroughs when the mind is relaxed or intensely focused on a purpose. Creative imagination is said to tap into the subconscious and, perhaps even more profoundly, into the realm of infinite intelligence, a space beyond logic where inspiration flows. Both types of imagination play a role in achieving success. Synthetic imagination is practical and deliberate. It is used to develop plans, improve strategies, or implement solutions. Creative imagination, while more unpredictable, often provides the spark that ignites a new vision or approach. Imagination must be stimulated by desire. A weak goal does not inspire the mind to act. But when desire is intense and clear, the mind becomes more alert, and imagination becomes more active. In this sense, imagination thrives on purpose. The clearer the vision, the more the mind begins to assemble pieces, people, resources, ideas that align with that vision. Importantly, imagination can be strengthened through use. Just like a muscle, it grows with exercise. The person who trains their mind to think creatively, to seek possibilities, and to explore beyond the obvious develops a sharper tool for problem solving and innovation. Reading, writing, thinking deeply, exploring new environments, and embracing challenges are ways to stretch this mental faculty. The chapter also reminds us that imagination is essential for planning success. A vague dream must eventually be translated into definite action. Imagination plays the key role in designing that plan. Whether it's building a company, changing careers, or overcoming personal obstacles, the first draft of the plan is formed in the imagination. It may evolve, but it always begins in the mind's workshop. It's also important to protect the imagination from negative influences. Doubt, fear, and cynicism can stifle creativity. When the mind is filled with hesitation, it closes itself off to possibility. On the other hand, when the environment encourages curiosity, openness, and courage, imagination flourishes. In summary, imagination is the silent architect of success. It connects dreams to practical steps, rearranges knowledge into strategy, and draws ideas from within and beyond. Those who learn to cultivate their imagination, those who dare to believe in possibilities others don't yet see, are the ones who shape the future. Whatever you desire to achieve, begin by imagining it. See it clearly. Feel it deeply. Then let your mind work backward, assembling the plan, one idea at a time. This is how dreams become blueprints, and how blueprints become reality. Chapter 7: Organized Planning, the Crystallization of Desire into Action. Desire without a plan is only a wish. This chapter emphasizes the importance of turning purpose and imagination into definite, organized steps. It is here that desire begins to transform into measurable achievement. No matter how strong the goal or how vivid the vision, success requires a structured path. Plans provide clarity. They help in identifying what needs to be done, who is needed, what resources are required, and when each action should occur. Without a clear plan, energy becomes scattered, and efforts often lead nowhere. A central message in this chapter is the value of collaboration. No one succeeds alone. Building a practical plan may involve assembling a team of individuals with complementary skills and knowledge. This team, sometimes referred to as a mastermind group, acts as a source of perspective, support, and innovation. The key is mutual benefit. Everyone contributes, and everyone gains. Flexibility is also essential. No plan is perfect from the start. Temporary defeat should not be mistaken for failure. Plans may need to be revised, replaced, or rebuilt entirely. Persistence and adaptability go hand in hand. The chapter also recommends taking action immediately, even if the plan isn't perfect. Waiting for ideal conditions often leads to inaction. Starting now, with what's available, builds momentum and opens the door for improvement along the way. In summary, organized planning is the bridge between thinking and doing. It turns goals into schedules, dreams into checklists, and hope into progress. With a clear plan, backed by determination and guided by cooperation, the path to success becomes not only visible, but achievable. Chapter 8: Decision, the Mastery of Procrastination. Indecision is the silent killer of success. It weakens desire, delays action, and often leads to missed opportunities. In this chapter, the focus turns to a crucial quality shared by all high achievers: the ability to make decisions quickly and firmly. Successful individuals make decisions without hesitation and stick to them unless clear evidence calls for a change. This is not impulsiveness, but a result of clarity of purpose. When the goal is defined, decisions become easier, because there is a clear standard for evaluating choices. On the opposite side lies procrastination, a subtle, dangerous habit that prevents many from taking meaningful action. It often disguises itself as caution or perfectionism, but in reality it stems from fear of criticism, failure, or uncertainty. Those who procrastinate tend to rely heavily on the opinions of others and are easily swayed by outside influence. This constant second-guessing undermines confidence and paralyzes progress. The chapter encourages developing the habit of independent thinking. It's important to weigh advice and gather information, but final decisions must be based on one's own judgment and inner conviction. Waiting for others to validate a course of action weakens personal power and often leads to regret. Decisiveness is especially important when pursuing personal goals, such as financial independence or a new career. These decisions often involve risk and sacrifice, but delaying them only leads to stagnation. The path to success demands commitment, and commitment begins with a firm decision. Historical examples are used to illustrate this principle. Many great leaders, inventors, and entrepreneurs succeeded not because they had all the answers, but because they chose a direction and moved with purpose. Even when mistakes were made, they adapted and adjusted, but they never remained stuck in indecision. The chapter also highlights the importance of keeping plans and intentions private. Talking too much about one's goals can attract criticism and discourage action. It's wiser to act, build momentum, and let results speak for themselves. Mastering decision-making means developing mental clarity, courage, and self-trust. These qualities are not innate, they are built through consistent practice. Each small decision made confidently strengthens this internal muscle and reduces the influence of doubt over time. In essence, decision is the spark that ignites progress. Without it, desire fades and plans remain on paper. But with it, even an imperfect plan can lead to meaningful success. The journey forward begins with a single choice: to stop hesitating and to start acting. Chapter 9. Persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Success rarely happens overnight. More often, it is the result of quiet, steady, and determined effort applied over time. This chapter highlights persistence as a vital ingredient in achieving any meaningful goal. It is the quality that separates temporary effort from lasting achievement. Persistence is not about working harder, it's about not giving up, especially when progress is slow or challenges arise. Many people fail not because they lack desire or intelligence, but because they give up too soon. When setbacks appear, when results are delayed, or when discouragement creeps in, persistence is the force that keeps one moving forward. This chapter makes it clear: without persistence, desire has no real power. Anyone can wish for success, and many can begin working toward a goal. But only those who persist through difficulty, rejection, and delay will reach the finish line. Persistence is desire in action, repeated again and again, even when motivation fades. There are 4 key steps to developing persistence. 1. A definite purpose backed by burning desire. 2. A clear plan of action carried out continuously. 3. A mind closed to all negative and discouraging influences. 4. A friendly alliance with others who encourage and support your goals. These steps serve as both prevention and cure for the habit of quitting. They create the emotional and structural support needed to stay committed through ups and downs. The chapter also warns that lack of persistence is a common cause of failure. Many people quit just before success becomes possible. Often, the most difficult moment comes just before the breakthrough. Those who persist through that moment are usually the ones who make it. Another important point is that persistence is a habit. It is built like any other discipline, through repetition. The more consistently a person chooses to continue instead of retreating, the stronger their ability to endure becomes. This habit then becomes part of their character, influencing every area of life. Persistence is also deeply connected to faith. When a person truly believes in their goal and in their ability to achieve it, they are far more likely to continue pressing forward, even in the face of doubt. In this way, persistence reinforces belief, and belief reinforces persistence. In summary, persistence is not flashy or dramatic. It often looks like simple repetition, showing up again, trying one more time, adjusting the plan, and moving forward. But beneath that repetition lies power. The person who learns to persist, calmly and steadily, unlocks one of the most essential principles of success. Chapter 10. Power of the Mastermind, the Driving Force. No one climbs to the top entirely alone. Every enduring success is supported, directly or indirectly, by the influence and contribution of others. This chapter introduces the concept of the mastermind, a powerful force created through the harmonious collaboration of two or more people working toward a definite purpose. The mastermind is not merely a group or a team. It's a coordinated alliance of minds, where ideas, energy, and insight are shared freely and constructively. When individuals come together in a spirit of unity, trust, and mutual support, their combined intelligence and experience form something greater than the sum of their parts. This fusion of minds generates a kind of intellectual and spiritual power that cannot be achieved individually. There are two elements in a true mastermind alliance. 1. Economic, the practical benefits of shared skills, knowledge, contacts, and resources. 2. Psychic, the emotional and intangible influence that flows between people who think and act in harmony. The psychic element is particularly significant. When minds align with clarity and purpose, they create a magnetic energy that enhances creative thinking, decision-making, and problem-solving. New ideas emerge, intuition is sharpened, and obstacles are approached with greater perspective and resolve. The mastermind principle can be applied in many areas: business partnerships, mentorship relationships, study groups, support networks, or professional associations. The key is that each participant is aligned with a common purpose, contributes value, and respects the shared vision. A mastermind group also provides something critical to success: accountability and encouragement. When challenges arise or doubts set in, having trusted allies who believe in the vision can renew confidence and help maintain momentum. This emotional support often becomes the difference between persistence and surrender. It's also important to choose members wisely. A mastermind only works when the individuals involved are compatible in character, respectful of one another's strengths, and committed to mutual growth. Ego, competition, and disloyalty destroy the energy of the alliance. This chapter reinforces the idea that true power is not only mental but social. The most successful people don't attempt to do everything alone. They recognize their limitations and surround themselves with others who complement their abilities. They tap into collective strength, shared wisdom, and cooperative ambition. In summary, the mastermind is a principle of synergy, of multiplying potential through connection. When individuals come together in a spirit of harmony and aligned effort, they generate a driving force that expands opportunity, deepens resilience, and accelerates success. Chapter 11. The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. In this thought-provoking chapter, the concept of sex transmutation is introduced as one of the most powerful tools for personal achievement and creative energy. The term may seem unusual at first, but it simply refers to the process of redirecting the intense energy associated with sexual desire into other productive channels, such as ambition, creativity, discipline, and purpose. Sexual energy, by its nature, is one of the strongest and most primal human drives. It influences emotions, sharpens focus, and fuels physical vitality. However, when left unchecked or misdirected, it can also lead to impulsiveness or distraction. The principle of sex transmutation does not suggest suppression, but rather transformation. It's about channeling that potent emotional and physical force toward worthy goals and elevated forms of expression. Throughout history, many of the most influential thinkers, artists, leaders, and inventors are believed to have mastered this redirection of energy. Their achievements were not despite their emotional intensity, but because they learned to harness it constructively. Instead of being consumed by desire, they used its power to fuel passion for their work, clarity in their thinking, and persistence in their pursuits. The chapter explains that the brain becomes more receptive to ideas, more creative, and more dynamic when this energy is elevated. This transformation enhances charisma, builds magnetism, and strengthens influence. When people operate with this heightened sense of purpose, they tend to attract others, both personally and professionally, who resonate with that same frequency of drive and enthusiasm. It is also suggested that the presence of love, or deep emotional attachment, often amplifies the power of transmuted energy. Love refines desire, deepens commitment, and adds a moral and spiritual dimension that helps keep the energy focused and balanced. The combination of love, romance, and sex, when aligned with noble purpose, can produce extraordinary outcomes. This chapter challenges the listener to reflect on how their own energy is being used. Is it scattered, unrestrained, or allowed to control their choices? Or is it being channeled into projects, causes, and dreams that can create real value? Those who master this transformation gain a deeper sense of self-control, a sharper mind, and an emotional resilience that strengthens every aspect of their lives. In conclusion, sex transmutation is a powerful but often overlooked key to personal development. By understanding how to redirect this natural energy into productive ambition and higher ideals, individuals unlock a reservoir of power that leads not only to external success but to internal mastery as well. Chapter 12. The Subconscious Mind, the Connecting Link. The subconscious mind serves as the gateway between our conscious thoughts and the deeper forces that shape our behavior, beliefs, and results. It operates silently, constantly absorbing, processing, and storing every emotion, impression, and experience, whether intentional or not. Unlike the conscious mind, it does not reason or filter information. It simply accepts what it is fed and acts upon it. This chapter emphasizes that the subconscious mind is always active. It works day and night, influencing how we feel, what we expect, and ultimately what we attract into our lives. Because of its open nature, it is particularly vulnerable to repeated thoughts and feelings, especially those charged with strong emotion. Thoughts of fear, doubt, and failure can root deeply, just as thoughts of courage, confidence, and abundance can flourish when nurtured consistently. To intentionally influence the subconscious mind, repetition is key. Affirmations, visualization, and emotional intensity play a vital role in reprogramming the mind with empowering beliefs. Whatever the mind is fed frequently and emotionally will take root, whether positive or negative. The subconscious does not discriminate, it simply acts. The chapter introduces the idea that all autosuggestion, deliberate or not, finds its way into the subconscious. By aligning your dominant thoughts with your goals, and by emotionally backing those thoughts, the subconscious can be trained to support your progress. This is where desire, faith, and persistence find their power. They are not just intellectual concepts, they are the emotional drivers that embed intention into the subconscious. Another important idea is that the subconscious mind communicates directly with what is referred to as infinite intelligence or universal mind. This deeper connection explains why some individuals receive flashes of inspiration or instinctive solutions during moments of silence, relaxation, or even in dreams. The subconscious becomes the channel through which creative ideas, intuition, and inner guidance emerge. The mind must be carefully guarded. Negative influences, from people, media, or internal dialogue, can pollute the subconscious with fear and limitation. That is why mental discipline is essential. One must be intentional about what they dwell on, who they associate with, and what emotional states they reinforce regularly. In essence, the subconscious mind is not just a memory bank, it is a creative and reactive force that helps shape your reality based on what you believe, feel, and expect. It can work for or against you, depending on how you engage with it. To achieve lasting success, one must work not only on external goals but also on inner conditioning. When the subconscious is aligned with your vision, it acts like a magnet, drawing opportunities, ideas, and people that support your deepest desires. Chapter 13. The Brain, a Broadcasting and Receiving Station for Thought. In this chapter, the mind is likened to both a transmitter and a receiver of thoughts. The concept here suggests that the human brain is not just a thinking organ, it is a communication tool capable of sending out mental vibrations and receiving them from others. This function, while not fully understood by science, is presented as a powerful force in the achievement of success. Thoughts, especially those charged with strong emotions such as faith, love, or fear, are described as forms of energy. The brain vibrates with these thoughts and, in doing so, broadcasts them beyond the physical body. The stronger the emotion behind the thought, the more powerful its broadcast. This means that repeated, emotionally backed thoughts can have a wider and deeper influence, both within the individual and on those around them. In addition to broadcasting, the brain is also receptive. It is suggested that the brain can tune in to thoughts being broadcast by others, especially when operating on a similar frequency. This is most effective when the subconscious mind is activated and when the individual is in a state of mental alertness or emotional intensity. The chapter draws a parallel to radio technology. Just as a radio sends and receives signals on specific frequencies, the human mind functions in a similar fashion. This process ties closely with the idea of the mastermind, a group of individuals harmonizing their thoughts and efforts for a common goal. When aligned in intention and emotion, the combined mental energy of such a group is said to amplify individual capabilities and allow for greater creativity and insight. Participants may even receive ideas or flashes of inspiration that seem to come from beyond their own conscious reasoning. The practical implication of this chapter is the importance of controlling and focusing one's thoughts. Since the mind is constantly broadcasting signals, consciously or unconsciously, it is critical to transmit thoughts that align with one's purpose and goals. Similarly, being mindful of the mental influences around you ensures that the thoughts you receive serve your growth rather than hinder it. Another subtle point made is the necessity of emotional harmony. Thoughts that lack emotional charge are weak and ineffective. But when desire, belief, and persistence are present, the brain becomes a much more powerful transmitter and receiver. In summary, the brain plays a central role in the creative and communicative process of achievement. By mastering thought, emotion, and intention, one can enhance their influence, tap into collective intelligence, and open themselves to ideas and opportunities beyond their immediate awareness. Chapter 14. The Sixth Sense, the Door to the Temple of Wisdom. This chapter introduces a subtle but essential component of success, the sixth sense. Often described as an undefined sense or intuition, it is the faculty that brings flashes of insight, inspiration, and warnings, beyond the scope of the five physical senses and even beyond conscious reasoning. The sixth sense is not a skill that can be easily taught or consciously controlled at will. Rather, it is a capacity that develops over time, especially in those who diligently practice the earlier principles of desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, persistence, and organized planning. It is a culmination, a refinement of the mind that begins to operate on a higher frequency, making it more sensitive to ideas, possibilities, and guidance that would otherwise be missed. When the sixth sense becomes active, it functions as a kind of internal guide. Some describe it as a guardian angel, or a silent partner that steers decision-making and offers profound insights during moments of uncertainty. This is especially valuable in times of great pressure, when logic alone is not enough to determine the right course of action. The sixth sense doesn't speak in words or obvious signals. Instead, it often manifests as a gut feeling, a sudden idea, a sense of warning, or an unexplained confidence about a particular decision. These impressions tend to arise when the mind is calm, alert, and receptive, often in moments of quiet reflection or solitude. The chapter underscores that developing this faculty requires mental discipline. It is accessible to anyone who trains their mind through positive habits, persistent action, emotional control, and clarity of purpose. Negative emotions like fear, doubt, envy, and hatred tend to block the functioning of the sixth sense, while positive states like love, hope, and faith amplify it. The practical lesson here is to respect and nurture intuition, even if it cannot be fully explained. While logic and analysis are important, there are moments when intuition adds a layer of depth and foresight that pure reasoning cannot provide. The sixth sense may also connect individuals to a broader, collective intelligence, or what some may interpret as divine guidance. While the book stops short of offering a spiritual doctrine, it suggests that the sixth sense opens the mind to realms of wisdom beyond human comprehension. In essence, this chapter serves as a reminder that success is not purely mechanical or intellectual. It also has a deeply personal, intuitive, and even mysterious dimension. And by embracing this, individuals gain not only practical direction, but also inner clarity and peace. Chapter 15. How to Outwit the Six Ghosts of Fear. This final chapter concludes with a powerful insight. Fear is the greatest enemy of success. It undermines confidence, paralyzes action, and distorts thinking. Even with knowledge, planning, and desire in place, fear can silently sabotage progress if left unrecognized and unchecked. There are 6 basic fears that form the root of nearly all personal limitations. They are: 1. The fear of poverty, a deep anxiety about lack and financial insecurity. It breeds worry, procrastination, and compromise of dreams. 2. The fear of criticism, the concern over what others think, which causes hesitation and conformity. 3. The fear of ill health, obsession with physical decline that drains energy and encourages hypochondria. 4. The fear of loss of love, emotional dependency that can lead to jealousy, suspicion, and emotional instability. 5. The fear of old age, anxiety over declining usefulness or relevance. 6. The fear of death, a universal fear that, if misunderstood, creates dread instead of appreciation for life. These fears are called ghosts because they often operate silently in the background of consciousness. They influence behavior subtly, cloud judgment, and weaken resolve. The danger lies not just in feeling fear, but in allowing it to control decisions and habits. To outwit these ghosts, the chapter recommends first cultivating self-awareness. One must examine personal beliefs, thoughts, and attitudes to identify which fears are most active. Often, the fear of poverty and the fear of criticism are the most widespread, silently guiding career choices, lifestyle decisions, and social behaviors. Once these fears are named, they must be confronted directly. This is not an act of willpower alone. It also involves replacing fear-based thinking with belief, purpose, and constructive thought patterns. Tools such as autosuggestion, repetition of positive affirmations, surrounding oneself with positive influences, and developing a definite purpose all contribute to weakening fear's grip. The chapter encourages regular self-analysis. Questions such as: am I allowing fear to stop me? Do I hesitate to act because of what others might say? Or, do I envy others instead of believing in myself? Can illuminate internal roadblocks that might otherwise remain hidden. In the end, the antidote to fear is faith, not blind belief, but a deep conviction in one's ability, purpose, and future. When fear is replaced by faith, the mind becomes fertile ground for creativity, confidence, and action. This chapter serves as a final challenge, to clear the mind of these invisible enemies and step boldly into a life shaped by desire, plan, and belief, not by hesitation or dread. Conclusion. As we reach the final note of this timeless work, one truth echoes above all: riches begin in the mind. Not merely financial wealth, but the wealth of purpose, fulfillment, peace, and progress. Think and Grow Rich has not only revealed a philosophy of success, it has offered a blueprint for transforming the invisible into the visible, the imagined into the real. You've traveled through the principles of desire, faith, persistence, imagination, organized planning, and decision-making. You've been introduced to the power of the subconscious, the importance of a definite major purpose, and the silent but deadly influence of fear. These are not just abstract ideas. They are tools, practical, proven, and available to anyone willing to apply them with discipline and courage. This journey is not meant to be inspiring alone. It is meant to awaken something within you, something ancient, something powerful. The quiet belief that you are capable of more. That you have the power to direct your life. That your mind, when trained and focused, is your greatest asset. But knowledge is only potential power. Now, it's your turn to take the ideas you've heard and convert them into motion. Into daily habits. Into action. Into your own personal transformation. Start where you are. Begin with one step. Write down your goal. Repeat your affirmations. Assemble your team. Guard your thoughts. And whenever fear whispers that you cannot, let the truth remind you that you already have everything within you to succeed. Remember, success is not the privilege of the lucky. It is the reward of the intentional. Those who dare to think, to believe, to act, and to never give up. This is your time. Let your thoughts rise above limitations. Let your mind become the workshop of greatness. And above all, let your life be the living proof that you thought, and you grew rich. If this audiobook has sparked something within you, if it stirred your ambition, reignited your dreams, or helped you see your future in a new light, then don't let this be the end. Let it be the beginning. Like this video if you believe your thoughts have power. Subscribe to this channel for more timeless wisdom and life-changing insights. Share this with someone who's ready to break through their limits and rewrite their story. And now, I want to hear from you. What principle from Think and Grow Rich impacted you the most? Drop it in the comments below. Let's build a community of thinkers, doers, and achievers, right here. Remember, every great transformation begins with a single thought. So start today. Think big. Act boldly. And never stop growing rich, in mind, in purpose, and in life.